Hiya, Seatac. Chloe here. Killough. Your chickadee in love with the sky. It's good to talk to you all. While the raiders raid, the choke chokes, the sky gleams with color. Whatever you have going on, I'll be here to go through it with you. First off, listeners, I apologize for not getting to that report about what's going on out west. As I mentioned in our previous broadcast, there was no small amount of unrest caused by the sky clearing, and some major events have spawned because of it. I want to start with a disclaimer before I go on to the details about these developments. This is all based on a report from someone who claims to have been there. A report given on the condition of anonymity, including any information about this person's gender or what they were doing there. I have agreed to this condition because I wish no harm to come to them, and because I honestly believe this person. Listeners, someone is claiming to be the president. The president of the United States, like in the history books. And we believe her name is Alice. Possibly Alice from Vault 199. We believe she is in control of an underground facility of interest to both the Port Authority and of interest to the Alaskan Expeditionary Force, the AEF, as these two groups are reported to have met at an above-ground entrance to the facility in the heart of Seatac, the center of the city. It's important to note that this lies in territory claimed by the Port Authority, and to note that the AEF, who, according to recent reports, have advanced weaponry, are reported to have flown to this location in vertibirds. Our source reports that these two forces met with guns drawn. Reportedly, a man named Mick, who is apparently of some importance to the Port Authority and this new presidential figure, may have signaled for the Port Authority. We don't know much more than that at the moment about this character, but hi Mick. The AEF was purportedly brought by the sky clearing event. They both wanted what was inside and were ready to shoot. This is when a ghoul woman, a doctor named Tanner, stepped in. You may remember this doctor as sending along a breakthrough to the followers to aid in the treatment of an affliction out west, of which there is still more to tell. This is when Dr. Tanner stepped between them, addressed them calmly, and asked that they lower their weapons and talk, so that maybe all can get what they wanted out of the situation. It's being reported that the doctor was incredibly kind and persuasive, making overtures to the Port Authority about getting in touch with Mick, and making overtures to the AEF that if the situation escalated, they all would lose. I believe we have her and calmer heads prevailing to thank for the lack of bloodshed. Apparently they all spoke at length, the AEF, the Port Authority, the doctor, and an iBot relaying information from Alice and the others inside. I'm being told that at some point the AEF and the Port Authority withdrew peacefully. My source was hesitant to give more information on talks of what will happen next, but I'm sure there's more to come. Listeners, I know this is a messy report. The truth is, not many details are known yet, but I'm sure more will be coming. To summarize, a woman named Alice is claiming to be president. A man named Mick and Dr. Tanner are with her. These are all figures we've talked about before. The Caravan Gang, whom we've had a lot of mixed reports about. These individuals met with both the AEF and the Port Authority on top of an underground facility that seems likely to be responsible for activating a satellite that cleared the sky. It's important to note that this is all somewhat unsubstantiated, and I have very little in the way of other sources to corroborate this information. It's also important to note that this is on the heels of an election that had surprising results, on the heels of a murder of an NCR representative and the subsequent breakdown of talks, on the heels of an attack by creatures known as Valkyries on a prison vault in the Seatac area. With all that, if the Council, the AEF, the Port Authority, and the President will entertain a small plea from a broadcaster who cares about her city, whatever you all decide, please let calmer heads prevail, and please keep Seatac in your heart. And if we are to believe this report, and listeners, I do, Alice, would you like to sit down and tell us about yourself and your position on the power structure in Seatac? I of course welcome any communication from the Council of the City, any statement from the AEF, as well as the Port Authority on these events. Let's go to a break. After the break, we'll go to a report from our very own In Love with the Sky 2, who has witnessed what is going on out west in the Bellevue region firsthand. Stay tuned.
Con el cura del pelo Dios que dio en el cielo, Jesús siempre me los juzgará. Voy a seguir sus pasos, voy a buscarlos a más allá. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. That was El Preso Numero 9 by Kathleen Martin. Alright, listeners, let's shift gears. Before moving on, this story has graphic content. Please be advised of that. We have a story from In Love with the Sky 2, who got the opportunity to speak with a dying man in a clinic in a settlement called Lakeside. I'm going to back up the recording, the original recording, and make it available to anyone who requests it. But for the purposes of this broadcast, in the interest of clear reporting and its content, I'll summarize. This man was a trader. With Brahman loaded, he and his boys heading up from the Portland. He arrived in Emporium to find it empty. Empty after hearing from traders heading south that it was a populated place. He hunkered down with his crew in a location familiar to this audience, the one-headed Brahmin, only to be attacked in the middle of the night by raiders wearing torn-up vault uniforms. His kids were killed in the attack, sadly. He was knocked unconscious. He awoke to a woman tending his wounds and apologizing for what happened. After recovering a little, he was asked by this woman, Diana, if he wanted to take part in their faith, a new sacrament, a sacrament of cannibalism. The storyteller notes that there's some sort of father figure that Diana wanted him to meet, which only adds to a layer of complexity and horror in this story. The story goes on. It's enough to say that he eventually escaped, but not intact in body or spirit. At this point, we can only assume that the affliction previously reported on has possibly had an effect on some people in the area. It's suggested you steer clear of Emporium and possibly the entire Bellevue region until we get all clear reports. I want to give thanks to In Love with the Sky 2 for this report, and a warning. It looks as though this transmission may have been intercepted before it got to me. Stay safe out there, okay? And to everyone listening, know that in all of this, we can come together and overcome, like we always have. Stay safe, Seatac. Here's some music for you. This is Al Duval, Where the Comet Falls.
It was cold and hungry
Seatac follows a group of players playing through a campaign based in the Fallout universe, utilizing the Fate RPG system. Their decisions inform what's going on in the story. This episode was written in collaboration with the GM Kat. She has a lot of credit for this episode. I couldn't do it without her, or any of the players for that matter. On that note, check out the art of Ray Killough, one of the players, at instagram.com/wordslingerwillard. I'll link it in the description for y'all, along with all the license notes and attributions. Show all the artists all the love you can. As always, any likes, subscribes, or comments are welcome. They help people find this because YouTube's heuristics. And thank you all for listening.
It's a O for Reno and a D for Bend. I'm wandering round just waiting for the end. I had a shotgun wedding. She's long and black. She sleeps beside me in our shotgun shack. Once a wee were a kissing and she chipped my tooth. I shot my